Hey everyone, and welcome to
Isms by Josie.
Today we're going to be doing another itty bitty knit kit that I got from Five Below. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in. And for my new viewers, please consider subscribing, share, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and click on that notification bell for future videos. So today, you guys, we are doing another itty bitty knit kit from Five Below. This time we're doing Mista Ginga. This was a viewer request. If you'd like to request anything, just comment below. I do have a long list. So just keep that in mind. If there's something that I don't have and you don't want to wait for me to get it, because it is hard for me to find these things sometimes, go ahead and send me a clear image of the instructions and I'll be able to try to help you out in a video. Alright, so in this kit we get some stuffing, knitting needles, we have some felt pieces, felt stickers, we also have a sewing needle and a spool of yarn. And it looks like there's only one, so gotta love when there's not too many material stuff to deal with. Let's open this kit. Spool yarn, I love it when they pack it like this and you only get this when it's a lot of it. And I like it this way because it's easier to take out the yarn while you're knitting. And then we have our little pouch here. In the pouch we have our knitting needles. We have the stuffing, the felt piece for the bow tie. We have felt stickers and our sewing needle. So I'm just going to put this back in the bag because I don't want it to get dirty or get lost. Don't want to lose this. And then we're just going to work with what we have here for now. So they also come with an instructional booklet. This is very nice. It's got some illustrations on here. It also comes with its own built-in ruler, so you don't need to get one yourself. I have rulers flopping around. They're all different kinds. Regular rulers. I have engineering, architectural. And I can't find the one that I need when I need it. So it's really good that they include that in here. Alright, so just keep in mind that this video is a supplement to the kit. If you want to make this kit, I highly recommend that you go to your Five Below and get one, or they also have them online while supplies last. So I cannot share any information due to copyright, and I do recommend that none of the viewers share the information as well. You don't want to get in trouble yourself for sharing copyrighted information. So the way that this booklet has their how-to step-by-step, that's their way of doing it. I'm going to show my way of doing it. You can decide on which way is better for you because everyone, you know, works differently, and that's quite all right. If you need to speed up or slow down the video, go ahead and click on the gear button in the corner. There's playback options to go fast or slow. If you don't need to hear me talk, sometimes my voice does get a little crackly. You can lower the volume on your device and then click on the CC closed caption button. Alright, so what I talked about spools like this is that you can find the end on the inside. It's easy to find the end on the outside, which is this one right here. But then you have to remove the band, and when you pull it, it's going to start rolling as you pull it, and that's very annoying, especially if you have a pet who enjoys moving soft things, aka Dexter. So I normally pull this from the middle, but it looks like they already found it for you. If not, maybe this is like a manufacturer's knot. Yeah. So this one has a manufacturer's knot. What that is when they have big spools of yarn, and when they run out of one, they tie it to another one, and I unfortunately have that. So I thought this was the other end. It's not. It's a manufacturer's knot that you're just going to have to hide when we sew the pieces together. So what I'm going to do is go in here, and if you can't find it right away, just go in here and grab a chunk. Just maybe a couple of strands, and maybe you're lucky and not too much will come out like that. If a lot comes out, it's not that big of a deal because you're going to end up using it anyway. But I'm just anchoring this down to my little, you know, I have a little lamp there that's just puts a little pressure on it. And as I pull, it's not rolling around. this is how it's going to be, and it's going to be great. So do it that way. Don't get the end from the outside. As far as this little wad goes, you just need to find that other end there. Okay. So, we're going to go straight into this. We have to make a total of 5 squares. I'm going to show you how to do the first one, and then because the other 4 are so similar, I'm going to do those off camera. That way, you know, we save time on video. I'm always about that. But we're going to go back in and we're going to do the assembly, and that I kind of help you with too as well. So let's get this started. All right, so let's start with casting on stitches onto our needle with the slip knot. First, what you need to do is measure the tail, and they give you how long, the measurement for this tail in your instructional booklet. So I'm just going to measure that out now. Okay, and then I'm just going to pinch where that line is. So keep your feeder yarn up and away, and then you have your tail end here. So I measured out the length with using the ruler in the instructional booklet. I'm keeping this pinched pretty tightly, and then what we're going to do is take your middle finger and ring finger, and we're going to hold apart the yarn like this. Then you're going to take 2 fingers, and we're going to lift up, and we're going to turn it down. Then you're going to take your middle and index finger, we're going to grab the feeder yarn, and you're going to pull that through the loop. So we have this huge knot. So now we're going to pull this top part out. You don't want to pull this bottom part that's attached to the feeder, but we're going to pull this top part here, and we're going to push this knot towards the thumb. So keep pulling and pushing until the knot is too small for you to push any longer, or if it's butt up against the thumb there. But once you get this to that point, then we can take our tail and pull that just a little bit to make the knot snug, and then hold on to the knot. We're going to tighten this up so that our loop can fit 2 needles, and then you can tighten that up once you put that on there. Right, and then we're going to go over the next steps. So now I'm going to cast on some stitches, gather up some feeder yarn. So this kit uses knit stitches for every kit seemingly, so it should be pretty straightforward after you learn at least just one kit. So I'm going to show you how to do a cast on with a knit stitch. We're going to get into our knit stitch position, so you're going to X your needles, and you want your right needle in the back, left needle on the front, and your feeder yarn in the back here, and don't forget your tail end needs to be down and away. Alright, so what we're going to do is always keep your needles touching, always a small bit. It'll help you from losing any of your stitches. But what we're going to do is we're going to wrap the yarn around our right needle from back to forward, counterclockwise, so back to forward and down. You're going to feel or hear it snap. It's going to get into this little crevice here. What you want to do now is slide your left needle down the right, over the tip, and down the back, and it's going to force the feeder yarn through this loop. So down the right, over the point, and down the back, and there's your new stitch. And what we have to do is transfer all the right stitches over to the left. So you stick your left needle into that new stitch, lift it up off the right needle. So now you have 2. Let's do this again. Stick your needle into the new stitch here, get into your knit stitch position by making an X, right needle in the back, left needle on top, feeder yarn in the back. Now we're going to wrap around our right needle, keeping our needles touching. We're going to go back to forward and down. You're going to feel it here at snap. Then we're going to slide the left needle down the right, over the tip, and down the back, forcing the feeder yarn through the loop, creating a new stitch. And again, we're transferring all the right stitches over to the left. So take your left needle, stick it into the new stitch, lift it up and off the right needle. So now we have 3 stitches here. One more time with you guys. Stick your needle into the new stitch, get into your knit stitch position, making an X, right needle on the bottom, left needle on top, feeder yarn in the back. Always keep touching. We're going to wrap around the feeder yarn around the right needle from back to forward and down. You're going to feel it here at snap. Okay, then we're going to slide the needle down the right, over the tip, and down the back, creating a new stitch. And then we're just going to transfer over this stitch over to the left needle. Okay, so now we have 4 stitches. So what I'm going to do now is complete the rest of the stitches onto this needle, and then we'll move on to the next bit of instructions. You can rewind this part as many times as you need until you feel comfortable casting on your stitches. Alright, so once we get our stitches on here, what you want to do is check for a few things. I've been kind of checking it as I go, but you want to make sure that the stitches down here are in a straight row. You don't want your feeder yarn to be up here because then you'll see this twisting up. You don't want to be too far back and over. I don't know, sometimes these things happen, but then it'll twist your stitches down. So when you look right here, you want to make sure that your stitches are all in the same row. Alright, and then we can move on to the next round. So this instructional booklet tells you the amount of rows you need, and I don't know if this is a new thing for some of these kits, but I never noticed that they say approximately. Because in the beginning when I was doing these kits, I would do the amount of rows it tells you to, and it never measures the length in inches that they ask. So approximately is pretty much plus or minus. So don't go by the row count, go by the measurement. I think that would be better. So the next thing we're going to do is start the next row, and it's going to be similar to casting on stitches, except we're going to do things a little different towards the end. So stick your needle into this first stitch here, get into your knit stitch position. We're going to wrap the yarn from back to forward and down, and then we're going to slide the left needle over the right, over the point, and back. Now instead of transferring the right needles over to the left, we're actually going to just remove the stitch that we used to make this one. So the number of stitches that you start out on the left is going to be the same number of stitches that you need to end up with on the right. So since we have one here, we have to remove this one here. So carefully push this up and off the needle. All right, let's do another one. Stick your hook into the next stitch. We're going to wrap this yarn from back to forward and down. Then we're going to slide the left over the right and the back. And then we're going to remove that stitch off the left needle. Alright, so one more time, you guys. Stick your hook into the next stitch. We're going to get into our knit stitch position. We're going to go from back to forward and down. So back to forward and down. And then we're going to slide the left over the right, over the point, and down the back. And so now we have 3 stitches. So we should have 3 stitches on the right minus 3 stitches on the left. Now I'm going to go and continue the rest of the rows until I make the length needed for this rectangle, and then I'll pop back in and we're going to cast off. Alright, so these were stitch markers that I normally use for crocheting. I talk about these all the time. These are good things to invest in because it'll help you keep track of your row and stitch count. So I use these to keep count of the rows that I was asking, and I just wanted to see, moving forward with all these itty bitty knit kits, if the number of rows matches what it says, and it doesn't. So I completed all the tabs of the rows that they were asking you to do approximately, and as you can see, after I stopped adding them, we did add a whole chunk of rows without the stitch markers. So I always say this all the time, you want to go by the measurement of the rectangle, not by the number of rows, because at the end of this whole thing, when we sew this together in about a few minutes actually, you want the proportions to be the same as the instructions intended. Otherwise your gingerbread is going to look a little funky. Alright, so I completed all the rows and it measures the amount it's supposed to be. Now what we're going to do is cast off. So to cast off, you always want to have 2 stitches on your right needle. To do that, of course, we're just going to knit stitch 2 stitches. So 1 and 2. And after we have 2 stitches on our needle, we're going to leapfrog this stitch over this one and then remove it completely off the right needle and then off the left needle. So let's do that. We're going to leapfrog this stitch over the next. We're going to hold this down with your thumb if you need anything to, like, just, you know, hold it down. And I'm going to slide this off the right needle and off the left needle. So now we're left with 1 stitch. And like I said, to do the cast off, you always need 2 stitches on your right needle. So we're going to knit stitch 1 more. Alright, so now we have 2 again. What we do is we leapfrog this stitch over the next. You can hold that one down with your thumb so that you can take off this stitch off the right needle and then off the left needle. Alright, let's do another knit stitch. And we're going to leapfrog this stitch over the next, hold it down with your thumb, slip it off the right needle, slip it off the left needle. One more time with you guys, even though I think that was already 3, but anyway, knit stitch, and then we're going to lift off this stitch over the next, hold that stitch down with your thumb. We're going to slide this stitch off the right needle and off the left needle. Okay, so you just keep doing this till there's no more stitches left on the left needle. I will come back and show how to cast off the last stitch. So you can rewind this part now as many times as you need until you get comfortable casting off on your own. But let's just finish this last bit here. Alright, so once you get down to the last stitch, what do? Well, what we're going to do is take your scissor. We're going to cut about 1 inch or so. And then we're going to yarn over. And then we're going to leapfrog this last stitch over the yarn over, off the right needle and off the left needle. And then this last bit with the yarn over, we're going to pull that all the way out. And then pull on this end to tighten up that loop, and it turns into a knot. And so now we are done with this rectangle. Comment below, let me know how it's going. So like I said before, we are going to be doing the 4 other smaller rectangles off camera. I did the same. I did that already. You can stop and rewind the video if you need help starting another rectangle again. But let's just pull out all these pieces if you're ready to move forward. And we're going to start assembling. So I'm going to have to take my needle out of the pouch that's in this kit. Right here. Okay. Then we're going to start with the body. You can thread up the needle from that tail that we used in the beginning. So, let's see. I think we have to put the prettier side on the inside because we are going to be flipping this inside out. Yep. I wish they said that in the beginning. But anyway, you can kind of tell it's the wrong side from the right side. So if you noticed earlier, I was trying to tuck this manufactured knot on the wrong side, and if you noticed, I was looking at this bottom here. So this is how I picture the wrong side. The wrong side has imperfections. This part here, for some reason, in the very beginning, always sticks out. So I'm going to call this my wrong side. And then the other side kind of doesn't have any imperfections really. Maybe the edges could be nicer, but pretty much the surface is pretty uniform. So we're going to fold the good side inside. And we're going to fold in half. Then we have to sew around, all around the edges in a shape of a gingerbread. I can't really help you with that, but you're going to have a round end here, and you're going to have two legs. So I'm not a sewer, so however you get through this, just don't close this part here. We're going to leave it open so that we can stuff with the stuffing later. But because this is the wrong side, you can keep all these flappy pieces out. You don't need to worry about them. But I'm just going to go up and down these rows here, trying to sew my gingerbread shape. And then you can try to see your stitches to see where the neck is. It's really hard for me to see, at least. All right. So now that we're at the other end, let's see what they have us doing here. All right, so now we have to put in our stuffing. So I'm just gonna get this out. We are gonna flip it inside out. So let's take this needle out for now and flip your gingerbread inside out. So hopefully the shape will show better. There we go. Looks more like a round top. And then we just have to fill this in. And you don't want to put all of it because we have to divide up stuffing for the limbs. So I would actually try to work on that first. Let's see if we can do individual individual pieces first. So yeah, let's do that. Let's try one, because I don't want to run out of stuffing. You know, I have a bunch of stuffing, but I would hate for you guys to run out. So maybe we can try at least stuffing this. Maybe not closing it yet, because I don't know what we're doing to attach them, but let's just at least stuff them. So fold them in half, and then we have to sew this bottom portion so that we can fill through that top. So let's just do that. I'm just going to, these are using straight stitches, so rather than go around the edge, I'm just going up and down each row. Okay. And then, wow, they don't have you flip this inside out, because I didn't make this look pretty. Guess not. But I'm going to try flipping it inside out anyway. That side looks horrible. Alright. That's what I did. It doesn't tell you to flip it inside out, but if you just try to anyway, it's just going to look nicer, in my opinion. Alright, so I'm going to take the stuffing and I'm going to fill it into this cavity. I'm going to keep this long tail out of the way so that we can use the rest to sew together later. But you want to stuff your limbs to the appropriate firmness for your project. So some people like a nice firm doll, some people like it really squishy. Alright, so we have the first limb. Let's just go ahead and do the other ones. I'm going to do the other ones off camera for time purposes. This actually might be a short video, so I'm really liking that, just because it's all repetitive and you won't need to see the rest over and over again. Alright, so I filled the limbs. So now I know I have this much stuffing to use for the rest of the body. So it's pretty squishy at the moment. So now I know at least I can use this much to make it the way that I want to make it. But to be honest, I don't really want to add too much because I don't want to lose the shape of my gingerbread. So I might not put all of it in. Yeah. So maybe this much gets left behind. I don't know. Let's see what this does. If I just don't want it to look funny. I mean, I guess it doesn't. Alright, well, let's grab... I accidentally tucked in that piece that we had here. Let's put it back on a needle. The problem is now there's a curve to the bottom of this that I didn't add. But we can try folding this in a little bit to make a little curved effect. I don't really have that much yarn left, so I gotta really be strategic about my okay. Now once I've sewn this part closed, you can find an opportunity to tie a knot. Right, so now we're just going to stick this in one end and come out the other at a random spot. You can squish this to get rid of that piece in there. Looks like a peanut. Alright, so now I'm just going to grab a limb and I'm going to sew them to the body. So first you want to see what side looks better, so at least you know how to sew these and make it still look good when it's done. Let's see. I don't know, I like this side. And I'm going to use the box to kind of give myself a guide. But we're going to attach this on now. The arms to the side. And I'm just sewing around. I honestly don't know if you heard that. We say this, I'm not a sewer. I'm just trying to figure this out just like you guys. At least I can help out on the knitting part. Alright, so once you're all the way around, you can find your moment to tie your knot. I don't even remember what side I wanted to use. Guess we'll find out after I'm done here. Go in one end, randomly out the other. Trim it. And squish it. I think it was this side. Now I'm going to do the feet. All right, wrapping up this last leg. In one side, randomly out the other, and then trim it down. All right, what do we have next? Ooh, okay, so we're gonna do the bow tie next. So we have to pinch the middle. And I'm just going to fold in half and fold down in half. Okay, and then we have to wrap this. I'm going to tie a knot on the back side of the bow, double knot. All right. Oh, this isn't in the middle. Try to get it in the middle. And then I'm going to use the needle to sew it onto the body. I'll sew this into the body as well. You want it at the neck. Okay, then I'm just going to double knot using this second string that I'm going to have to sew out of the way. Double knot. I'm going to stick this in one side, randomly out the other. Cut it flush. Then I'm going to try doing that to the other piece here. Might be a little difficult. Maybe it's too short actually. So what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to try to do some knitting action here. Come up with the needle, wrap it around the needle there, and I'm going to try to tuck it into the body. Do it a couple more times just to get that tail inside the body. Alright, and then it's in. And this is off center, but that's okay. Jeez Louise. Alright. Okay. Now we have to do the top. And we have to do a braid. So let's see how I'm going to do this. I need 3 strands, and I'm not exactly sure the best way to do this because it just has you doing the braid and then somehow tying it to the top. What I want to do is try to do it in such a way that you know, it kind of, let's see, let's divide this length into 3. And then I'm going to cut this piece here. And then on this other end, let's tie this knot in the middle. You could do, if you know how to do a 4-strand braid, that would be great. But we're gonna do a 3-stranded braid. So I'm just tying this 3rd string around the middle of the 2nd one. Okay. Then I'm going to take a needle and I'm going to sew it right on the middle of the head. And I want to pull this knot into into the body, or at least try to, so that maybe I can hide this little piece here. But you just want to sew that 1 string until that knot gets hidden inside the body, because now we're going to braid. So in case you don't know how to braid, which is fine, you want your 3 strands to be like this. And what we're going to do is take this outside and swap places with the middle one. Then we're going to take this outside and swap places with the new middle one. And we're going to keep doing that back and forth, and that's going to form your braid. Now if you wanted to do this tighter because it's kind of loose, you can pull the string so that it makes tighter braids. And now you can get close with this by holding it close to where it's crossing, and you're going to do the same thing. The outside braid swaps places with the middle. This outside braid swaps places with the middle. Outside swaps the middle. I'm making really tight braids here, and we just keep doing that. I'm going to use this as a weight. Nope, doesn't want to weigh down. Ooh, let me try my phone. Hold on. Alright, hopefully that'll hold for a bit. But outside trades with the middle. Outside trades with the middle. Outside trades with the middle. And you just keep doing this until you get the loop length. Now this is supposed to be an ornament, so you know your tree best. So you can make this braid as big or small as you want. But whatever this is, it's going to be half because we're going to fold it in a loop. So just make sure you at least make it long enough to fit around a branch on a tree. So all it is, outside swapping in with the middle. You can test to see how long it is. No, I think I want it longer. It tells you to do 3 inch by 3 inch. 3 inch. 3 inch by 3 inch. Which I don't think is very long. This might be more than 3 inches already. And maybe this is where I want it. So, once we get to that point, I guess you can take your one of the legs that we have here, Just go around the circle and pull it through the loop to tie a knot. And then you can double knot it to make sure. Now it starts to become a friendship bracelet if you've ever done those. Okay. So now what we have to do is sew these or tie a knot somehow. So I think in the last video I did it before stuffing, and this is exactly what I like to avoid, but I didn't think about that at the time. So let's see. I wish I had a crochet hook. I'm going to thread 3 of these strands into a stitch. It's going to be a little bulky, but I mean, I don't know any other better way to do it. So here's one of the strands. I'm going to sew it through here. There's one. Now I'm going to go and take another strand and thread it through the same stitch. That's 2. Then I'm going to do that last one. And here is 3. Alright, so we've got 3 strands in here. What to do next, I have no idea. But I'm going to take one of the strands at least, and I'm going to tie it around this braid 2 times to make it secure. And that's kind of all I can think of to do. So if you have your own way of securing things like this, do it your way. Comment below, share it. But yeah, double knot. And then I'm just going to take each strand and hide it in the head. Okay, so we got that. What else you got? Alright, and now we have to stick on the face and the buttons. So, start with the smiley face. That way you can center the face. Okay, push down for a few seconds. You want to make sure that the adhesive sticks to as much of the surface as possible. And then we're going to do the eyes. Hold it down. Other eye, try to make it even. Then we're going to do the buttons. And these aren't really cut that great. We're going to put one here to cover the bow tie. All right, so there it is, you guys. This little guy is so cute. Comment below, let me know how it went. So I did have some of this color, gingerbread color left. So we have one more itty bitty knit kit for this week. I'm gonna throw in a 5 Below crochet bag per request, and then we're gonna jump back into the not back into, but we're gonna jump into the Grinch crochet kits. So that's going to be fun. We're going to be doing that after we do the crochet bag. At any rate. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope this video was helpful. Again, this was a viewer request. If you need to request a video, comment below. If you don't want to wait for me to find the kit, go ahead and send me a clear image of the instructions, and I'll be able to help you out. I get a bunch of requests, and I say the same thing all the time, just, you know, if you don't want me to wait for it, but I don't get any responses after that. So I'm not sure if people are seeing the replies, but otherwise, you guys, if you really don't want to wait, I highly suggest you send instructions via email. So, at any rate, thank you guys so much for watching. This is
Isms by Josie.
Please share, like, and subscribe for future videos, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.